domesticated dog are there? Bam! 1. I thought there was about 250 to 500. That's what I thought. I didn't study genetics, so I thought, oh, those are all different species of dog. It had never occurred to me that you can breed them together, and that's why their eggs and sperm can work, because they're actually all one species. Their species is called Canis lupus familiaris, but the gray wolf is called Canis lupus. We had the little familiaris on there as a little marker indicator that we've domesticated that wolf. But the reason you can breed your dog with that, like you had a dog that was part wolf, is because wolf and domestic dog are the same species. Everyone get that?
Yeah.
They're actually the same species. So all that variation that we see in the dog family, from the basset hound to who's got the real little one? Who's hiding now because they don't want to? I need a little one. Who's got it?
My parents have 3 chihuahuas.
3 chihuahuas. Okay. Now, if everyone picture the chihuahua, right?
The chihuahuas are
Okay, here, how's this? Okay. The chihuahua. And then what's a real big domestic dog? Give me somebody throw out a real big one.
Great Dane.
Great Dane. Okay. That feel fair? Full Mastiff is a big dog, huh? It's like a 250-pound dog. Or the biggest one I think is the Irish Wolfhound, which I've seen standing up like 6 feet tall or more. Those are the same animal. That's a lot of variation. And they represent extreme ends of the gene pool of Canis lupus, of the gray wolf. So at one end, if we had it like a spectrum, we could think at one end we would have these little dogs, like the little Chihuahua. And then on this side, we'd have the Irish Wolfhound. At the other end, like say the deep end of the pool, and the Chihuahua's at the shallow end of the pool. Now the mutts kind of like hanging in the middle because they're a mix. And right at the middle of that would be, say, the gray wolf. Because they're the same species. Everyone with me on this? This is going to be the linchpin of the whole talk tonight. You've got the gray wolf in the middle, and then right out from that you might have what kind of dogs that are very close? What's real close? Husky, German Shepherd, a little step back, right? Not quite as much a wolf, but close. And then you've got, say, the Huskies are real close, and the Malamutes are real close. What's that? All those sled dogs. Those are almost wolf still, right? And then the further we get out, we start getting into some weird stuff, right? And what's weird is that every expression that we see is some possibility that was contained in the genetic code of the gray wolf. We can't invent new stuff. We're just simply drawing out, in fact, we're calling out genetic expression based on food and behavior and selective breeding and the little houses that we make for them. For instance, you don't breed a Chihuahua by living in Alaska and leaving the thing tied outside, right? You don't successively breed your wolf generation after generation and end up with a Chihuahua, because the Chihuahua, how's the Chihuahua going to do outside in Alaska?
Ice cube.
Ice cube. Ice cube. If you dare to put it outside in Alaska, because, I mean, something's going to eat it. Fair? So even if you started breeding and breeding and breeding, you're going to end up in Alaska. Outdoors, you're going to end up with a dog like a Malamute or a Husky. In order to make a Chihuahua, you kind of need something that's going to spend all its time indoors, right? It's got to have sort of like us, TV, couch, clothes, yeah, totally, rhinestone collar. The Chihuahuas essentially, these dogs, these little lap dogs, are bred to be indoors. Everyone understand what I mean? And then we have dogs that are more bred for outdoors. Now, originally, when we bred them, they were bred with purposes. So everyone knows that the German Shepherd did what for people? Shepherd. It was a shepherd. It herded sheep, right? And what did the terrier do? Anyone know?
Rats.
Rat. They go down holes. They pull out rats. We had reasons for the breedings, right? We got real calculated in our, that Western way of like, well, we're going to play with nature. And we created a whole bunch of variations, and we drew out the genetic expression based on what we asked that animal to do, what we fed that animal, who we bred together. So if you want a dog that looks like a wolf but has short legs, you keep breeding the one that has the shortest legs. And out of that litter, you breed the shortest legs. And out of that litter, you breed the shortest legs, right? And that's how you're going to end up with that dog. Does that make sense for everybody? I started to understand that I was kind of like this. In fact, I'm kind of like, I don't really like to be outside too much because I get cold or hot. And I was like, what's up with that? Well, my house is always the same temperature. And when I go outside, I don't really like see a lot of food. I kind of actually don't know what most anything is. I've been learning, but I kind of don't even recognize that as my natural environment. When I'm in my house, super comfortable. I just have a door that I open and there's food. And when I have to pee, I have a little room that I can go in, and there's a chair with a hole in it. Who's ever peed outside? Okay, now, you know that feeling when you pee outside of like, there's a couple things that go on emotionally inside. There's like the part of like, yeah, I'm gonna pee outside, like. But there's also the like. And then sometimes there's the like, is this illegal? True? True? Am I making that up?
Yeah.
True?
Is this dirty?
Right, is this bad for the plants or good? I can't remember. Am I polluting something? There's all this, like, we don't even know how to go to the bathroom on the planet that we live on. That's a shocker. That's a total shock. It was like a wake up. Who's ever had a bowel movement on the ground? Twice the complexity. Twice the complexity. Because there's way more variables and stuff. It's way more private. It's way more like, okay, I'm gonna need something.
Leaves.
I need like something to wipe myself with. No, what about the poison ivy? I don't want the poison. I get the poison ivy fear from the stories. People give you the horror story about using poison ivy. And different. If you travel a lot, what's that? What'd you say? Mullen's the best. If you're in Mullen country, if you're in the desert, it's like stones. And if you're, which are awesome, by the way, which are awesome. The smooth stones are good. And if you live in if you're in the forest, the mosses are really nice. But it takes a while to figure that out. Plus, still there's this like, why do we have to wipe our butts? I noticed that other animals don't wipe their butts. What's up with us? We're kind of a weird animal. We're a weird animal. Plus, when you get done, too, there's like am I supposed to cover that? Do I dig a hole? Weird. Is that weird? We don't know anymore. We don't even know how to go to the bathroom anymore. We have these chairs, by the way, they were invented by a guy called, does anyone know his name?
John Crapper.
That's true story. Who said that?
Really?
That's a true story. John Crapper invented the toilet. Why? Because at that time, the only people who had toilets were royalty because they always had to sit on thrones. And everybody else, how do they go to the bathroom? And the rest of the world, and who's been to India?
Wow.
Right. You know how it goes in India. Squat.
And then the cows eat it.
Yeah. But they're holy, so it's all good. So, yeah, the toilet's an interesting aberration and not particularly good invention for humanity, by the way. That's why most people in our culture, by the time they get into the later stages of their life, can't even bend down into a squat. Most people do that every day, all over the world, all through human history. We don't even know how to go to the bathroom right. So clearly we've been domesticated. I start going kind of like, well, if we've been domesticated, and I think most of us get this at some level, we know we're domesticated. Here, by the way, one way you know you're domesticated, if you have a word in your language for indoors. That's a word born out of domestication. Because native peoples around the world, they kind of have like little lodge things, but it's not like hang out indoors. We hang out indoors, 98% of the time. So I start going kind of like, well, the dog comes from the gray wolf. What is Homo sapiens sapien, the tool maker? What are we from? What do we come from? And we got this whole story about the missing link. So it's like, okay, we don't know. Big missing link. But I started going like, nah, I'm not really buying that. Because I noticed that there were wild people all over the planet. What do we call those people? Indigenous. The indigenous people. And they're wild people in the sense that usually they're not farmers. Usually they're not farmers. Or very, very little. And they don't live inside. And they don't poop on toilets. They don't have, little litter boxes with a little silhouette of a man or a woman on them. They live outside and they live with nature. And so kind of like the wolf, and by the way, wild has all these weird connotations that I don't mean. I use the word wild to describe the native people the way I would say describe the wolf. Now, does the wolf have a society? Does. Does it have a social code? Does. It's not, they're not just running around all crazy. They have a whole culture. All the animal species have a culture. Our species has one too. We have certain ways we conduct ourselves, and that's why we see so much commonality when we look at indigenous people, no matter where we look. And those people lived everywhere, right? So it started to occur to me, hey, there's actually wild people around. And so I was like, I want to check this out. And then I found out, oh, well, we're killing almost all of them. In fact, we're killing them all really fast. In fact, we might get into a situation where they're not even here anymore.